Welcome to another exciting episode of the Luminary Panel, the entrepreneurial podcast where we fuel minds with insights and inspirations. My name is Liliana Fidua, and today we have a truly special episode lined up. Join us for an insightful and exciting interview between Chauncey Jennings and our distinguished guest, Cornelius Freeman, who specializes in crafting custom suits and tuxedos for celebrities. In this episode, we'll dive into Cornelius's fascinating journey, his approach to tailoring for the stars, and the secrets behind crafting iconic, bespoke fashion. Get ready for a conversation that is as stylish as it is inspiring. Shout out to one of our sponsors, Zico Space and Clubhouse. As you guys know, we did the Luminary Panel Season 1 on Zoom, and so we were looking for a podcast studio to film. And now here I am in Zico Space and Clubhouse, and here they have multiple rooms, one being the lounge, a conference room, and a podcast studio. They serve many different beverages, including tea, coffee, and kava, and their main mission is to be a place where people can come together and work together. So if you can, stop by. It's right outside of downtown Orlando, and it's a great place to work and meet others. Hope you try it.
All right, we back with another episode of the Luminary Panel. Now, this one is special. Reason why I got this hot behind suit on is because I'm trying to impress my dude, Cornelius Lamont. How you doing, man?
Good. I'm good, baby. How you doing?
Doing great.
You look good in a suit.
You too, man. I'm trying to get like that with the double.
Look good in a suit,
funny
man.
thing about Cornelius is he's one of the few that knew about the Luminary Panel before the Luminary Panel was anything.
Mm-hmm,
He heard about the idea. It was like, that's dope.
Run it.
That's dope. Let's run it.
Dope. Run it.
However I can help you. Now this dude is making some major moves. Tell them a little bit about who you are and what you do, man.
Well, first, thanks for having me, man. I don't take it lightly anytime I'm able to sit in these rooms and have these discussions, and I honor what you've done and what you're doing, and I wish you nothing but success, bro.
Thanks, man. You too.
I said it then and mean it now as well. Anything I can do, you know, I got you. But me personally, I'm a celebrity tailor. I make suits. My wife likes for me to add suits and tuxedos, but tuxedo is a suit.
Yeah.
But suits and tuxedos, and it's just been a journey, man. It's been really, really cool. I love suits and textile and fabric and all those things. Yeah. And I'm originally from Memphis, a more dangerous part of Memphis known as Memphis.
Okay, I get it.
Memphis, just Memphis, bro.
Okay.
But it's cool. That's home, and my family's back home there, and 2 kids from a previous marriage, or they're grown now. I can't really say kids. They're 21 and 19. So, but yeah, man, that's it. You know, I'm a couple of weeks out actually, from a 47 birthday. Yeah, man. So I'm old.
Nah, you look good, man.
I've lived a lot of life. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. So let's talk about Memphis, man. How was it growing up in Memphis, and how'd you end up in Orlando?
Yeah, growing up in Memphis, I lived somewhat of a dichotomy. And by that I mean I grew up in a Christian household. My father was the assistant pastor of a very large church. I mean, when I was born in 1977, we had 1,500 members.
Oh, wow.
And for a black church in the Mid-South, that was huge. Our church was, our church was the first black church on nationally syndicated TV at the time, BET.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people in the church world knew my former pastor, who's going home to be with the Lord, the late Bishop G.E. Patterson. And so not only was my father his assistant, I was his drummer. I used to play drums professionally.
No way.
So from the age of 13, I was playing drums. I was touring with him and other gospel acts by the time I was 15, 16 years old. My high school years were really weird because of that. I would leave school because that sixth period for me was PE. So I would leave school at 1:30, 1:40 p.m. on a Friday, jump on a tour bus, and pull back into Memphis at 4 or 5 in the morning, Monday morning, just in time to shower and go to homeroom.
Wow.
And I remember, it's so funny, I remember going in the homeroom and everybody in the room talking about like who kissed who under the bleachers at the game last Friday, and you know what happened in the weekend over at the hood. And meanwhile, I was like, man, I had nothing to add. Yeah. And so I remember telling my dad, I just want to be normal. Just want to be normal. Meanwhile, cats at home rooms like, wait, you went where this weekend?
Yeah.
You saw who this weekend? It's like, so that was a bit of a challenge, but I overcame. And then I say dichotomy because my older brother, God bless him, but he lived quite opposite. He was my stepbrother. We didn't have the same father, but he lived with us, and my father took him in and raised him as his own. Yeah. So by the time he was 15, 16, man, he was hell on the streets. He was total opposite. Yeah. Yeah, it didn't look like he came from no church household, bro. Yeah. So behind the scenes, he was teaching me street. And so that's why when I started this part, I was talking about the dichotomy that I was living. So to my father and to the church world, I was Pastor Freeman's son. In the streets, I was Freddie P's little brother. And so I was fighting Monday. We fought for fun, bro. It was like sport. In Memphis, and so especially South Memphis where I was raised, and so I would fight after school and during the week and get cleaned up and go to rehearsal and go to band practice and be sitting on drums. Thank you, Jesus.
Thank you. So this is gonna be a funny episode. Golly.
So that was how I grew up in Memphis.
That's awesome, man. That's a really relatable point, because I know a lot of people watching this or that are part of your audience has had a similar or the same background where they come from a religious background, and then they also come from like a rougher environment too. So what was your mindset in that time for you to be like, okay, now I understand I don't want to be in the streets, I don't want to do whatever with the church. Obviously you still follow the Lord, but I had to figure out my own. What was your mindset then?
Well, my father made it for me. He got me out of there, and so I had a partial scholarship to a Christian university in Northeast Georgia called Emmanuel University, and a little bit of drums, a little bit of basketball, and a small NAIA school. Well, now they're not NAIA anymore. Let me not disrespect them. Now they're big time. Emmanuel University is much different than what it was when I went in 1985.
Wow.
At the time there were like 1,600 students and 6 of us were black.
Damn.
So it's what it seemed like. And so man, I went that route and was really touring heavy on the Christian and gospel circuit. I've played behind the likes of some of the people that you listened to over the last 2 decades, and so I had that ability and had an actual encounter with God my own self.
Oh, let's talk about that.
And then had my own encounter, and that's what it has to be. Salvation as we know it can't be forced upon an individual, can't be pressed or pushed. It has to be something that you find and seek on your own, because at the end of the day, that's what salvation is. Literally, the Father wants to have the dopest relationship with you than you ever know, both on earth and abroad. So that's really what happened for me. And so at that point I realized, it wasn't, plus man, I'm a business head, and I like business. I like money, and I like freedom.
That's the street side.
Yeah.
That's street side.
So I wanted to get it legally.
Okay.
And so that's how, man, I was like, no, I knew streets wasn't for me. Plus my dad at 15, 16 years old, my brother had to leave the house. He thought that at 11 p.m. curfew, wanted to come in at 1, 2 in the morning. It's like, bro, you 15. Yeah. Like, the thing about that now is like, ugh.
Yeah. What is your relationship with him now, your brother?
Oh yeah, we're cool. Because we're both adults now. Yeah. He's 6 years older than I am, so he's 52 as of this past May. So no, he's cool. But he's back home in Memphis. But I became the big brother at that point because I'm the middle child, so I have a little brother.
Right.
And so my relationship, obviously, with my little brother is closer than it is with my big brother.
Got it. Because
I had to become big brother, even in an instance where I wasn't even sure how to do so because my big brother was gone. But there's no hate or no ill feelings or anything like that at the time. everybody was doing. I even heard this quote. It was given to me after my divorce in '08. I don't live life in regret because at some point that's exactly what you wanted.
Say it again.
So, yeah. So I don't live life in regret because at some point in time, that's exactly what you wanted. So with that mantra and that mindset, I just forged ahead and kept moving.
That's good, man. That's, a lot of times when people have that dynamic with their older brother or younger brother, they build some type of resentment. And it's awesome that you guys don't have anything like that. Like, you guys want to see each other win. And
Yeah.
what would be your advice for the people that are in that situation, but it's the complete opposite? Like, if they feel like they are pursuing something very good for themselves, for their life to change, but the people around them that they look for support don't support them. Like, as you know, you had that, like, where you thought you had friends that were supportive of what you're doing, and you're like, bro, I thought you was cool with me or something, and then they like completely flip. So what would be your mindset going into that?
Yeah, friends and family are not based on last name and bloodline. And that's something people have to remember and be okay accepting. I mean, not to turn it into Bible study or nothing, but, there's a story in the Bible, for those who follow the Bible, where Jesus was in a house teaching, and the disciples ran through. The place was packed. Disciples ran up to Jesus and was like, yo, your brother and your sister outdoors. They're out front. And Jesus was like, who is my brother and my sister? Who is my mother and my sister, rather? The people that are family for me are the people who do it the will of my Father. Those are in here supporting what I'm doing, in essence.
Yeah.
And so we have to keep that mindset, I believe. Like, it's okay. I still love you. We're still family by nature and by blood. However, my tribe, per se, or the people I'm spending significant time with, those are the people who are helping me pursue purpose and fulfill destiny.
How do you know that those people are for you?
Well, you have to. There's this thing called discernment. You just kind of have to. You gotta have to discern and pay attention and judge people's actions as well as their words. And there's this thing I feel like God's put in all of us, this internal mechanism, if you will, that kind of lets us know when something's off. The problem comes is when we ignore that feeling or that inkling that we get. That's more of a warning or an activation system. When we ignore that, typically when you look back over some of the relational mistakes that you've made over the course of your life, you'd probably have to admit that I had some type of inkling and I didn't pay attention to it. Yeah. So you've got to.
So in the Christian world, we call it discernment for the people that's watching, but it's actually like your intuition,
right,
for the other people that may understand that verbiage
sure,
better. So,
sure.
That's perfectly said, because I think it comes down to one or two things. The first thing is you got to understand what that voice sounds like when you're in that moment, right? So, for example, if I were to forget to reach out to you, even though like a while ago, like, yo, I want you on the podcast.
Sure.
And your name dropped into my spirit, like, yo, hit him up again.
Yeah.
Oh, da, da, da. And then you end up getting a big time deal and everything started to go well for you. It's like, that's when you want to reach out. Don't ignore it, because then you're missing out on an opportunity for you to grow.
That's good.
Right?
That's good.
So he got me preaching. I always call it. He got me preaching.
You did out your own.
Nah. So let's piggyback. This is going to be the best episode out of all. Let's piggyback on the friend group thing. So in your time, you found a group of people that are family, but not by blood. How did you, or what were the things that they did to hold you accountable, or certain situations to hold you accountable that you didn't resent them for? How did you know that was the thing? Like, okay, he actually cares about my the outcome of this the circumstance.
Yeah, that last question, he actually cares. That has to be the barometer by which you measure advice, if you will. Because the truth is like this. That's not everyone's role in your circle. So the first thing I believe you have to do is classify the role of a particular person. Directionally speaking, there are people in my life that the primary function they're in my life is for me to help guide, versus people in my life that their primary function that we're in each other's lives is because they provide guidance for me. The mentor-mentee relationship. And so I have mentors and mentees. And so the accountability comes, you have to allow someone to give. And so that's on you, not the individual.
Yeah.
And so once you realize that the intent of that person is not to harm you, but to help bring you to that expected end, to help pursue your destiny and fulfill purpose, that particular individual is one that you would allow to give you advice and wise counsel.
Yeah.
And those people you hold dear.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
hold dear. It's not to say I've not got mad at them for advice or holding me accountable or feet to the fire, as it's called. Yeah, I get mad. Me and my guys, we fight.
Yeah.
Like I mean, not physically.
Yeah, for sure.
But no, we fight. We go at it. You know, we're emotionally attached to one another, and so there's emotions involved, and we get mad and yell, and we go at it
for sure,
like boys, like men. And then we come back to the table. Okay, this is what, and for me, and that's what I mean, everybody's different. For me, I have to have that. I have to have the freedom and the leeway.
Yeah.
If you're a close friend of mine and we go at it, and now you don't want to talk to me for 3 weeks, we probably not going to be. Yeah. We're not going to work because I'm done after we finish fighting.
Yeah, facts.
I'm cool. It's like, it's like, it's cool. So, I've got those friends, like, and it's not many of them.
Yeah.
But I've got those brothers, man. It's like, Freeman, what was that, bro?
Yeah.
Like, who you talking to?
Yeah.
And so we don't, but no, it's cool at the end of the day.
That's awesome, man. That's a hard line for some people because, again, it goes back to the point of understanding who you are and what you can take and what your capacity is.
Sure.
Right? And a lot of times your friends are the direct reflection of what you need in a person, in the mirror.
That's right.
So,
my father was a strict disciplinarian. I grew up in that type of environment. I played sports. I've always had strong coaches.
Yeah.
So me and that rah-rah kind of locker room kind of coaching doesn't bother me. It's part of my makeup and part of how I came up. But you've got to, like you said, you've got to know that about yourself.
I think let's talk about that. How did you? Well, obviously, you had your dad there to kind of show you that mentality and it kind of embedded into your system. But what if it's somebody that grew up in a single parent home that don't necessarily have that structure or have that disciplinary figure in their life? How do they find that in them?
Yeah. Discipline is hard because it's both internal and external. You're both taught how to be disciplined, and then you must also exercise what you've been taught.
Yeah.
When I first started working out seriously, when I moved to Orlando in 2008, my boy, who's a trainer, taught me certain things, and that instilled certain disciplines. When I wanted to leave the gym, I'm done. It's like, no, we're only 30 minutes in. We're at least going another 20 minutes. So that's discipline being instilled in me. And then after that, now we no longer work out together. We work out separately. Our schedules were in 2 different places. But now I'm exercising the discipline that was taught. And so in the example of the question you've asked, when that has not been instilled, then in order for an individual, a young man or a young woman, to actually employ discipline that's not been instilled in them, then you have to seek out ways to have discipline instilled in me. There are books, there's meditation, there's these types of things that can simply be Googled. You can put it in the chat GPT at this point,
for sure.
and find out, how do I increase discipline, or self-discipline,
and
self-control, and it'll spit it out. Exercises, books, things that you can do to help get those things put in you. And then once they're in you, then you practice and execute on those things. So to answer your question, it's twofold. It's both external and internal.
Yeah, I agree. So let's kind of pivot. Orlando, 2008. What was that like for you, man?
Man, probably the roughest period of my life.
Why?
I was going through a harsh divorce. And it was a time when the divorce was unexpected. My ex-wife and I were having some problems. The kids were 3 and 6 at the time. And, things were just not moving well in Memphis. Looking back on it now, obviously we all know that period of time from 07 to 09, the worst economic crash in our country, in the history of country. Of course, while you're in it, you don't know that that's contributing to the problems that you're having from an economic standpoint. But I had planted a church, and so we were pastoring a church, and I had to disband the church, and so on and so forth. And so every year in the summer, my best friend and I would come here to Orlando. We were college roommates, and so I would come here each June, third week of June. My birthday's June 3rd. His is June 18th. We block out the third week of June, and I'd come here every single year. And our goal during that week was to do the most random stuff ever. Yeah. We go to the opera, and we go ice skating. We'll go to a ratchet club. We was all over. Our goal was how many ends of the spectrum can we touch? Yeah. And that's what we did. But this particular year, he knew my struggles. Obviously, he was one of my confidants. He knew what was going on. And so this particular year, he said, yo, man, let's forego the trip. Matter of fact, I'm going to bring you down. And so this particular year, I came at the end of May. And I came at the end of May just to kind of get away and clear my head and kind of seek guidance from God and see what the next steps and direction. I had lost my job back in Memphis. My ex-wife was working, but they were cutting her hours. It was just bad. Like, there's not as much. The smaller the city, the less opportunity. Yeah. So when calamity strikes in terms of an economic situation overall, people in towns like Memphis feel it worse than people in towns like Atlanta. Yeah. So I got here end of May that particular year, and I got here, we ate, and he was training at a local gym in Winter Garden. Lifestyle Family Fitness. I'll never forget this. And I walked to the gym. We went to go work out. I said, man, that's the first thing you want to do. Let's go work out, kind of clear your head. We'll go sit in the sauna, talk a little bit. I was like, I don't do no counseling session in a sauna, bro. It's hot as hell in there. Like, literally. So we go to work out. And so because he's a trainer there, he's got clients. So we walk in, and immediately one of his clients grabbed him and they say, Bruce, I was just about to call you. I need to schedule for next week. Bruce like, oh, yeah, let's do it. So Bruce walked behind the desk to go get into the schedule. And meanwhile, the gentleman standing to my right was this fitness club's general manager, Skip. And so Skip introduced, said, hi, man, I'm Skip. I said, hey, man, I'm Cornelius, and introduced myself. We started talking. So an hour later, he had offered me his assistant sales manager position at $60,000 a year with a reload package. Wow. So imagine how excited I was. I was like, man, I was like, let me pray about it and see what the Lord says.
Yeah, you knew.
No, and I'm there on my boy's dime. Yeah. I'm like, bro, I'm like, God has provided.
Yeah, for sure.
So I called back home and told my wife at the time, I said, hey, babe, you're not going to believe this. God has made a way, blah, 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 blah. So we're going to move to Orlando and blah, blah, blah. And so we hatched a plan. The kids were almost out of school. My daughter, who was 3, was in daycare. Deuce, my son, was in kindergarten. So they were almost done. We wanted to wait until they finished. They only had a couple weeks. Yeah. Plus, we had some things to organize and get out of there. Been there all our lives. Yeah. So we started that. I went ahead and accepted the job and start coming, and then start flying back to Memphis on the weekends just to be with family, help pack, help load up, blah, blah, blah. And so in one of those trips, we had been fighting and stuff like that. And so in one of those trips, my ex-wife was just like, you know what, this time away have made me see, I think I can do this better by myself.
At the Luminary Panel, our mission is to become an immediate resource to you as the aspiring entrepreneur. With that being said, we've partnered with SCG Shama Consultant Group, the business development one-stop shop. They have everything you need as far as marketing, benchmarking, and so much more, so that we, as the Luminary Panel and SCG, can help you thrive in your business.
A decision to make. Am I going to go back to Memphis, try to work this out, or I'm going to stay here and do what I feel? I really felt God was leading me to Orlando. Yeah. And so I was fighting that. And so I prayed and prayed and prayed and decided to stay here. My mom was one of the people that told me, "You can't force someone to be with you."
Yeah.
And there was no opportunity at the time, and I had opportunity here, so it's like, you know what? I'm just gonna work and grind it out for the kids. The kids are still my kids, and I still gotta take care of them. And this is where God has provided opportunity, so I'm gonna ride this out. And actually, I thought she'd come around. Yeah, of course, that was 2008, and I'm remarried to the love of my life, and we're all good.
She's such a sweetheart, too.
Yeah.
That's a good pick right there.
No, yeah, dude. So I'm like, yes. Leveled up like I was like, oh, God, this is what you was trying to do. Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
With the reload pack.
Yeah, with the reload
pack.
Yeah, bro. So.
All right, so we're gonna go a little, since we're in the Orlando topic. I remember when we first had a conversation, and we kind of got a little deep into who we were and getting to know me. I got to know you, and you got into this story that I would never forget.
Oh Lord,
I would never forget it because I was doing the same thing, and I was like, my path is promising.
Yeah.
So you were telling me when you were starting your entrepreneurship journey and you were in the space of networking, you would go to bars and not get anything to drink, just a seltzer and lime, and just get to network with everybody there.
100%.
Tell the audience about how you felt in the moment. The reason why I say that is because a lot of times when people do that, obviously perception is reality. But internally, you're looking at everybody else. I say it to myself, you're looking at everybody, oh, he got that, he got this, he got that. This is a two-part question. What was your mindset around that time? And give us the journey, and then how strong were you mentally because you had the vision and line in mind? Yeah.
I'll start with the second question. Okay. Being strong mentally is the reason why I was able to do it. Everything I had gone through, everything I experienced, every part of my past, my history, my upbringing, the dichotomy of Memphis being preacher's son and Freddie P's little brother, all the fights, all the schemes, all the everything, the divorce, the disappointment there, all those things had me in such a mentality of I will not lose. I'm never going to lose again. Not battles, small battles, but the actual war, this life, I'm never going to lose at this thing again. And so as I sat there, instead of feeling inferior, I felt, in my mind, it was always just an exposure issue. In my mind, the right person just hadn't heard what I have to say. In my mind, the right person just hadn't seen my suit designs. I didn't feel like I was less than. I just didn't have the right exposure yet. I used to use that as an example, and we don't have to use it now. We have digital cameras and whatnot. But back when you had to take it to the Walgreens and get the film, I used to tell people, I was like, man, I'm just like a roll of film. In order for me to blow up and to develop, all I need is exposure. We used to draw that analogy. And so as I sat there at those bars, that was my mentality, man. Like, no, I'm going to keep talking and keep talking and keep telling my story and keep talking about my passion. And the person whom God wants me to talk to and destined to help unlock a door and open the next door. And that's another thing. I didn't believe in just the next door. I believe in one of my favorite movies, The Matrix. In one scene, Neo opens a door and he thinks that's the exit. And he opens a door and it's a door to another bunch of doors. And that's what I looked at every opportunity.
Wow.
Like, no. I'm not looking for the one big. I'm looking for multiple opportunities. And so that's the way I sat there. And so, like you said, I would go in, I would order, I would tell the bartender, so the bartender wouldn't look at me weird. I tell the bartender and say, hey man, I'm really trying to cut back on drinking. This is my dry July or whatever it is. So to help me, I want to order just a club soda with lime, but can you put it in a whiskey glass so I won't be tempted? I at least feel like I'm drinking. And bartender, that resonate with that. They all have been through times where they're trying to detox and cut back, knowing I couldn't order a drink if I wanted to. I had $6.19 in my checking account.
That's crazy.
Couldn't order a drink.
That's crazy.
And I hope she don't charge me for this, because if I tip her, I'm out. So do I. I'm hoping she's gonna say, "Oh, that's okay." So I pull out my card at the end. It's like, "How much y'all owe?" She's like, "Oh, you don't owe me anything." It's like, "Are you sure?" And my mom's like, "Thank you, Jesus,
Lord."
And I keep some singles in my pocket. I was like, "Well, take
Here you go. Get coming out.
Yeah, thanks for serving me. You've been great."
Oh my goodness, man,
dude! I was, at one point I was catching the bus. I was rooming with a friend in Lake Mary, working for a suit store in the outlets.
Wow.
Catch that.
Yeah, that's far.
For those not familiar with the geographic
area,
we're talking about a 46-minute drive by car. I had to catch 4 buses.
Dang.
And only because when I decided that I wanted to do the suit thing, although I knew how to put patterns together and what color looks good against the skin tone and all these sorts of things, I didn't know operations. I didn't know distribution. I didn't know shipping and receiving. I didn't know any of those things that I knew I would need to know in order to run a successful suit business. So I hatched a plan and said, hey, I'm going to go work at a suit store and learn it while they pay me.
Yeah.
So, but again, I had nothing, bro.
Yeah.
No car, no nothing. And I was, like I said, rooming with a friend in Lake Mary. And so I would take the bus. I would have to catch the 4:46 a.m. bus to get there in time enough to open the store. Oh, and that's another story in itself, because when I walked into the store to see if I could work there, general manager told me point blank, said, I don't have any payroll for you. I don't have another position open at the moment. And I said, you pay your guys by commission, right? And he said, yeah. I said, I tell you what, I work for free in your stock room. Let me come out if somebody goes to break. And if I sell something, then you just pay me what the commission would have been paying. I'm not taking from anybody. And meanwhile, you get an extra body in your store. He's like, let me run that up to corporate. That seems, I don't know. He ran it to corporate. Corporate said no. He said, you know what? I like you, and I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
And so there I was in the back of the stock room, pulling in shipping, checking manifests, having conversations with DHL and UPS drivers as they would deliver to our store. Well, that was September of 2014. By the time we rolled into the holidays, less than my 90 days, before my 90 days was up, I had become the assistant store manager and lead stylist for the store.
Wow.
So now I had responsibility and a set of keys.
Yeah.
And while that seems like a blessing, again, I now can't just come in when I want to because I'm not on payroll. No, I have a set time to be there. And so, like I said, I had to catch that 4:46 a.m. bus in front of what at the time was a Winn-Dixie.
Yeah. Right
there on Lake Mary Boulevard.
There's a lot of gems in this that's like like it's one of those things where you gotta read through the lines, right? So the reason why I brought this story up is because I kind of knew he was gonna go down this rabbit hole, but not necessarily. I didn't know about the bus situation and him working at the outlets, but it's because of the tenacity that he had, him being so hungry for his vision, which we're gonna talk about shortly. So hungry to the point where he's willing to do whatever it takes to get to a certain level. From him sacrificing his last $6 to go network with some of the people at the bars and the restaurants and all that good stuff. So I say all that to say, don't let anything discourage you because there's no excuse in excuses. You can't have excuses if your vision is big enough for you to get to the level that you see yourself to get to. So it's the same thing for me. When I built the Luminary Panel, I was a couple months in and I had no episodes. We had a conversation like prior.
Right.
But in the meantime, God kind of put me in my Job season just like you, man. So I lost my car, got repoed. I lost my apartment. I was in $40,000 in debt from credit cards. I was sleeping in my car for a couple months. Like all of this was happening at the same time as I'm going to place to find a place to do the Luminary Panel without an episode.
Right.
So I say all that to say, if you're hungry enough and you know you're walking in your purpose, God will provide in a way where you won't even fathom about how it happened.
Right.
That's how I met him, Iman. That's how I met him. I was like, yo, this is what I got going on. I came here every day. I seen on Instagram, like, this is going to be the hub. And he was like, yo, I've been waiting on you for forever.
Wow.
So that's everything in a nutshell, man.
And you mentioned like being hungry enough. Like, talk about hunger specifically.
Yeah.
As you said that, I remember getting off on the bus to go to McDonald's again with $6 and change in my pocket. Check this, bro. I would go into McDonald's and buy for breakfast the $1 sausage biscuit.
Yeah.
It was on the $1 value meal.
Yeah.
I'd buy the sausage biscuit. The girl take the receipt off and get ready to throw. I'd say, no, I need my receipt
for the survey,
bruh. Take the survey, get a free sandwich with the purchase of a drink
for the lunch.
For lunch, come back with my receipt. Bought a Coke off the dollar menu. Give me my quarter pounder. Same thing. Give me my receipt. Come back for dinner. Bought a Coke off the dollar menu. Got a Big Mac.
Oh, shoot.
I spent $3 and change for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I had 3 solid McDonald's meals. Absolutely, bro. Absolutely.
Understand.
So when I got a car and barely could put gas in it, talk about swallowing your pride. Mm-hmm. And I had to walk into a gas station with $3.19 and change, slap it on the counter, and say, "Give it to me on pump 9."
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah,
like, so it's like you said, you just can't. All I knew is that I just hadn't been exposed. Yeah. People need to see me. That's all.
That's it.
So
now let's get to the point where, okay, after you left the outlet,
mm-hmm.
now you probably started thinking about, okay, I could do this thing on my own. I learned enough. Now let's talk about that. Like, let's talk about that journey.
Yeah.
That transition.
So I left the outlet, the suit store that is, about a year in. So right at my 1 year mark, I said, hey man, because at that point I had done a little over $250,000 in suit sales in that 12-month span.
Mm-hmm.
And this is selling $199 outlet suits.
Yeah.
So I was cranking.
Yeah.
And so I asked them, I wrote a letter to corporate and said, hey, the general manager here is leaving. I'm the next man in line. It's my 1 year anniversary. My numbers suggest that I can do it. And I've been a leader in the store since the beginning. So I'd like to have the position as general manager. They told me no. They said, we're sending one of our people in from the St. Louis store and they're going to take over that store. Mm. And so the next day I walked in with a resignation letter and I gave it to him and I said, now I want y'all to notice the date. You'll see it's dated for 13 days ago. Mm. You do the math.
Mm. Wow.
Makes today day 14. And so it was a wrap. I walked right out of there, walked down to the shoe store, Johnson & Murphy.
Yeah.
I had been selling that general manager and that regional manager suits. Mm-hmm. So I had somewhat of a relationship with them. I walked right in there and they were like, yo, what's going on, man? What are you doing? You on break? Mm-hmm. I was like, no, permanent break. I said, give me I need a job.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, man, stop. It's like, no, I want to work here. Are you serious? Yeah, I just quit. No, wait. And so the GM called a regional and they on the phone. You're not going to believe this, man. He wants to work here like this is. And it was like, bro, we don't have any pay. The only thing we have is like seasonal. Yeah. Like this guy, he's like a jewel. We can't have him. He's not going to take seasonal.
Yeah.
And I could hear them talking. I said, tell him I'll take it. Mm. You'll take it? Yeah, I'll take it. I'll work seasonal. He said, you realize that after the holidays, we have to liquidate and like we have to cut people and the seasonal people are the first to go. I'll take the seasonal. So I took that just before Black Friday.
Wow.
Worked all through Black Friday, Christmas, January. January gets around, they call me in the office. General manager and a regional manager. They said, yeah, we want to talk to you. And I was like, all right, here come the axe. But I'm ready for whatever, you know. Mm-hmm. But instead of firing me, they offered me the general manager position at their Jacksonville store in a place called the St. John's Town Center. Mm. I was 2 doors down from Tiffany and 3 doors down from Louis Vuitton.
Okay.
So
Turn
that
up.
store was doing horribly.
Yeah.
It was 82, it was store number 82 out of 86. They were almost dead last, 4 spots from dead last.
Wow.
So I looked at the store and looked at the area and was like, why are you losing over here?
Mm-hmm.
So I asked him, I said, hey, what is it what's your expectations of me? What would you like for me to do in this store? Seeing as how you're 82 out of 86, clearly there's quite a few challenges to overcome. And Regional looked at me and said, hey man, look, if you can move this store 10 spaces from 82 to 72, we'll be in your debt forever. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, I don't know, but I'll take it. Mm-hmm. So I started, moved to Jacksonville. And at the end of the fiscal year, to make a long story short, that store is number 2 in the company.
No way. That's crazy.
Crack their heads, bro. Like,
They said 10. That boy said a whole 70.
I can fail.
Yeah.
Somebody asked a long time ago, came to my school. I was in middle school somewhere, middle school, high school, somewhere in there. And they said, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? And it didn't. It just kind of. Later on, I'm in the dating game here in Orlando. Out with my boys at the club. They said, hey, man, you know how much easier it is to talk to a girl if you already know she likes you? I was like, he said, watch this. Went up to the girl across the bar and talked to the girl, blah, blah, blah. Came back and told one of our other boys, man, that girl's really feeling you, man. You got to go talk to her. And this is one of our boys. He's quiet and meek, and he went to go talk to the girl. They started dating.
No way.
Came out later. It's like, man, what'd you say to her? I just asked her a name and she was here with anybody. What? But he went to the bar and he approached her because in his mind he couldn't fail. She already liked him.
Yeah.
And so he talked with a different confidence. He moved with a different pace. He flowed with a different kind of flow. And so that's me in the marketplace. I do not feel like I can lose.
Yeah.
And so my pace, my everything, it reflects that. And that energy and that vibe comes off.
Yeah.
And so when you go into a place, it gives off this presence. And so you know you're a winner. And now people who just meeting you, they know you're a winner. And so move the store to number 2. I would have got number 1, but at the time, New York had an upper Manhattan store and a lower Manhattan store. And just before the end of the fiscal year, they closed the upper Manhattan store and the lower Manhattan store consumed all that business. As you can see, I'm still not over that. And that was 2015.
Golly.
Otherwise, I'd been number 1, but I'm seeing someone about that. But no, it's like, bro, I was supposed to be number 1. How much sweeter would the story have been? I was number 1.
Facts.
But anyway, I couldn't. That's a corporate decision you can't do anything about. But yeah, that was Jacksonville. And so to answer your question, they asked me what I want, obviously, and say, we're going to give you a bonus. Well, you know, I know you're going to do that. Right?
Yeah.
But what do you want? I want to move back to Orlando. At the time, they were getting ready to open the Disney Springs store, which is a gold mine.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Anything in the Disney Springs is gold. And they were just opening Disney Springs. It was brand new.
Yeah.
But in my head, I knew they weren't going to give it to me. They had already promised it to the guy who promoted me, who had been waiting patiently. They owed this guy.
Yeah.
And so I knew because they were going to have to tell me no, that I was going to have a second request. And the second request is really what I wanted.
Yeah.
I wanted that same money, but less responsibility. And so what I told him, I said, well, since y'all going to give Isaac that store, I want his old store, but I want to make what what I would have made if I was in Disney Springs. And they gave it to me.
Smart.
30 days in, and I resigned and started CL the Brand Custom Tailors.
Yes,
I had
sir.
everything I needed.
Yeah, everything you needed. So now,
Chestnut checkers.
That's a whole different conversation. But oh man, we got so much to talk about. Golly, I'm trying. I don't know if you noticed. I'm putting them in four spots.
Yeah.
We got the beginning in Memphis. We got the struggle and the divorce and how you got to Orlando. Then we got to how you flourished in Jacksonville and brought the store to number 2. Then now we're at the point of you starting CLB.
Yeah.
Now, you call yourself a celebrity tailor for a reason. Who are some of the people you work with?
It's funny, man. People know when people hear celebrity, they automatically think A-list.
Yeah.
But there's some celebrities and people, many of them,
Some
unless
people
you're in
don't
that
know.
industry, you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
You obviously, like, if you're here in Orlando or you're an avid basketball fan, Nick Anderson.
Yeah.
But you don't know Ryan DeVos, the grandson of the founder. You see what I'm saying? So it ranges, man. I've worked with sometimes people ask me, who's your favorite celebrity? There's a comedian out in LA, a guy by the name of Russell Peters.
Okay.
I had to look him up. Hilarious. He's just naturally funny.
Yeah.
But he's one of the godfathers. He's one of the ones that Kevin Hart and these guys look up to as like a mentor. He was the first one Netflix gave a real special to.
No way.
Yeah, he still complains today about the millions they gave him.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah,
because apparently they're doing like $40 and $50 million deals and stuff now. But
No
he's super dope. Man, it's a lot.
Yeah.
But by and large, man, my heart, and I love all those guys. My heart, though, man, is the everyday guy, the guy who has to wear this stuff for uniform. It matters to them.
Yeah.
How they look. I like to tell people, not just a tailor, but I help my clients achieve massive levels of success by leveraging the power of custom suits.
Wow.
I'm going to help you be more successful. Yeah. You're a fourth-year attorney trying to make partner track in front of the 7-year guy. Let me dress you. See what I'm saying? I'm that guy. If you're a finance guy who wants to open your own firm and not work here for the next 30 years, but you want the type of clientele that'll afford you to do that and trust you now in finance, even though you're in your late 20s and look like you're 19.
Yeah.
I'm the guy to do that.
That's me. For real. Yeah.
I'm the guy. So that's where I'm trying to be.
Dang. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's cool. So that's where I'm trying to be, and that's my everyday like cusp. That's where I'm trying to. Those are the ones I love.
Nice.
First time suit clients are my favorite.
Yeah.
It's nothing like when they're standing in front of my mirror and I slide that custom jacket up their arms and come around front and button that first button and I step out of the picture and they see themselves in that garment for the first time.
Yeah.
Never gets old.
Yeah, man, I can only imagine.
Never gets old.
That is like, that's like a kid that has had dreams to be in the NBA, and then once they get to draft night, they in the NBA now.
Like,
golly.
Yeah.
So that was your moment when you started CLB.
Mm-hmm.
You were like, all right, I made it. I made my noise in Orlando. Then you transitioned again.
Oh man,
to Atlanta.
People. What's funny, man? People brag about being a serial entrepreneur. I don't want that. I never wanted it, bro. It's like I want to build this big ship and then let that ship tread in the water for the rest of time till Jesus comes back, or until somebody buys it and I take an exit. I never want all these different businesses doing all these different things, bro. People brag about it. I'm like, ugh. Yeah. But no, I actually, the guy who introduced us, Justin Williams, was the manager, general manager for the Grand Bohemian Hotel here in downtown Orlando. So he got a call and took an offer to become the general manager, managing director for Stone Mountain. So his wife, however, is Lebanese. And the reason why that's significant is because every year during the summer for like 2 months, pretty much, he, his wife, and the kids, they go back to Lebanon and spend significant time in Lebanon. Well, he took this promotion and moved to Stone Mountain, they did, just before it was time to go to Lebanon. So this year, he couldn't go. This was last year, actually. He couldn't go. Well, he went, but only for like 2 weeks. And then he had to come back because he's starting a new job. Yeah. So, 3-4 weeks in, we're talking. I was like, man, how you doing down there? It's like, how's Stone Mountain? How's Atlanta? Blah, blah, blah. He's like, man, the city is huge because he's originally from there. Yeah. City's huge. Stone Mountain is huge. He said, I don't have my family, man. Oh, he said, man, I could use some company if you want to be honest. So I looked at my schedule. I was like, well, I got 4 or 5 days. I can peel off right here. Not a whole lot going on. And so I went down to Stone Mountain to visit him, just to hang out with my boy. Like nothing. So we go to a bar. I never forget this place called Hal's. one of the few places that you can actually smoke cigars and eat your ribeye.
No way.
This is like old school Harlem Nights.
No way.
Wooden bar. You can smell the meat in the wood, bro.
That's funny. That's funny.
This steakhouse feel like it's been there forever.
Yeah.
So we go in there in the middle of the day, man, and I order ribeye and a Rocket Patel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we're just there, man. I'm drinking my scotch. And we're just talking, catching up, what's going on here. He's telling me what's going on there. And so a gentleman at the corner at some point had just had enough. He's like, excuse me, fellas, I don't mean to interrupt. I just got to ask. You brothers are two of the sharpest brothers I've seen. You're drinking fine scotch, like your conversations, like through the roof. Like, I just got to ask, what do you guys do? Mm-hmm. And we laughed. It's like, no, it's cool, man. It's whatever. And so we introduced ourselves. And so Justin like, oh, I'm the managing director of Stone Mountain. I was like, hey, man, I'm Cornelius. I'm just visiting. I'm a celebrity tailor. I make suits. Bob. Mm-hmm. This became my first client in Atlanta.
No way.
Just like that.
Dang.
So I go back to deliver his suit 3-4 weeks later. He's got a couple of his boys with him. They're also doing different things in the marketplace in corporate America. They become clients 2 and 3.
That's funny.
And it just kept re-happening over time. And so I look up and, this one particular month, I found myself going back to Atlanta multiple times. I look at my wife, I said, this is just not efficient. Mm-hmm. And so I decided that it made the most sense to just block off a particular week. I'm going to go, let's say, the 3rd week of every month. That's my week in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. So when I'm there in that 3rd week, I now have I already know the next set of dates when I'll be here again and set appointments before I even get on a plane to leave to go from Orlando to Atlanta. And that's what I started doing. And then that week becomes 10 days. And now I'm there 12, 14, 15 days a month. I had to open office. I'm now president and creative director for the all-new Buckhead Bespoke, right in the heart of Buckhead, next to Dior and Rolex and Hermes, just right in the middle. This is literally like the Rodeo Drive of the South. Yeah. And I'm sitting right in there. And so now I'm running 2 offices. I have a satellite, and it's like, this ain't even what I wanted to do.
It just happened. What do you say, man?
Like organically just kind of blew up, man.
Your
and
cup,
I'm thankful.
Cup running over.
It's running over, bro.
It's running over.
But I'm grateful.
I'm be at the bottom like this.
No. No, man. You're right there with me.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I'm excited. I want to make a trip to come out there and see you and Justin, man. I know it's.
Oh, you love Atlanta.
Out there is crazy.
Love Atlanta. The pace there is just so much faster than what we experience here in Orlando, and so my schedule's tighter because there's more on it. It's more compressed because I'm there for a limited period of time.
Smart, yeah.
But it's fast paced, but it's awesome, brother.
Next level, man.
It's awesome.
Well, this will be our last question, man. We done came from the beginning to the end.
Oh, you navigated this thing, perfectly.
Man. Yeah, man. I'm starting to be like, I don't know, but we're gonna end this thing up, man. So basically, we always ask this last question because this is to our audience, to show the audience that we're humble with the Luminary Panel as well. I'm always a student. I want my team to always be students, and we always bring the inspiring entrepreneur like yourself to give us as much information to use so we can continue to grow. Mm-hmm. So the question is, what are some things we need to do now to continue to help us reach our goals that we have long-term wise? Like, we want to be able to have our big conference. We want to be able to travel to different colleges around the country to do like live events for the business sector or people that just want to personally grow. Like, what are some things that you recommend that we continue to do that you've seen us do now, or some things that we should start looking to do?
Got it. Based on your goal and what you just stated, I would take this on the road. I would put this in the laps of those who would potentially be your community, would potentially be the people that would support this. And I don't just mean colleges. That's the easy part, reaching out to a college, a local school, and saying you want to interview a member of their staff and do it there on site. But I'm talking even outside the box. Like, the idea comes to me as you're talking, even at law firms, for example, large law firms or law schools, things of that nature, where you bring in, you want to talk and interview someone who's well known in that school. Communities that are very close knit places like Eatonville, places that are very close knit, where the founder of the town's grandson is an attorney, and now he's, these types of things. And so I would take this and put it in the lap and eyes and create this live audience and take that thing on the road like that. And then what'll end up happening, and what I believe you'll see, is you'll see people that are gravitate to the platform to find you even after you're gone. People will start to tap in and say, hey, they interviewed so-and-so. He's started XYZ. You got to come check this out. And so people will start doing it. You're just making and taking your product, which is this. You're taking your product and putting it where it's easily consumed. That's why some of the most highest margin items in the grocery store are close by. They're right when you check out. They're on what they call the end caps. As you're leaving one aisle, turning into another, the stuff on the end, big margins, or they've got a surplus in volume of it. They're just taking it and making it more accessible than it had been previously. That's what I would do if I were you. That'd be my advice.
Yeah. Thanks,
I lean in heavy on that. Take this show on the road and put it somewhere where the people, companies are big into lunch and learns right now. I'll tell you, in the marketplace, CEOs are big on trying to get culture back into their offices. So AKA, they're trying to get the people back into the offices. As they were sitting at home during COVID, they're finding that people are more productive in the office. So all these types of things. And so I would leverage that and lean in on this, talk to some of these managers of companies, CEOs of companies, whoever you can get access to, supervisors of particular departments, and say, hey, how's your engagement? How's your culture? Is there anyone that's doing well in your office that you want to highlight? Let me come in and interview them. Let them talk openly on camera about what it is that causes them to be successful. Sales organizations will do it in a heartbeat. Car dealerships, timeshare places, they do it in a heartbeat. So I would lean in heavy like that.
Yeah, that's a good advice. That's a great advice. I guess you're in the back like, hell yeah, let's do it. No, man. Well, thank you guys for watching the Luminary Panel. This has been an incredible conversation with Cornelius. How can they find you on social?
Thanks for having me. I'm Cornelius Lamont on Instagram and Cornelius Freeman on Facebook. I got in TikTok early, so I was able to secure the name TikTok Taylor.
Nice.
On TikTok. So that's the only platform where it's slightly different. So
cool.
But that's me.
Make sure you find them. Obviously, we'll have them tagged in. But thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe. Tag somebody that you'll love to see on the platform, or tag somebody that you'll love to see and watch the platform, or whatever the case is. That's me. Chauncey Jennings out. Peace.
As we wrap up another enlightening episode of the Luminary Panel, we reflect on the profound impact of today's conversation. From learning about the importance of consuming empowering content for personal growth to navigating your way through business, our discussion with Cornelius has been insightful and inspiring. We hope you've gained valuable insight and strategies to apply to your own journey. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with others who might benefit. Please follow us on all social media platforms at The Luminary Panel. Thank you for tuning in today.